The silent victory. The galaxy was still. The silence stretched across the stars as if the entire universe had taken a deep breath. The alien forces, having invaded Earth years ago, celebrated their victory. The humans had been crushed. Cities lay in ruins, governments destroyed, and their defenses shattered. The Alien Council had declared peace, believing the war was over, the human threat erased. But something stirred beneath that silence. On Earth, beneath the cold surface of forgotten military bases, something was happening. It was quiet, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The machines that had once hummed with energy now rested in stillness, gathering dust in the forgotten corners of the planet. Yet in the deepest underground vaults, where no alien foot had ever set, a small group of humans were working. These humans were not soldiers, nor were they leaders of the shattered governments. They were scientists, engineers, and tacticians who had been preparing for this moment long before the alien invasion began. They had been waiting for the aliens to think they were done with Earth. Captain Amelia Hart sat in the dimly lit control room of the Prometheus, an old, abandoned military ship that had been revived with Earth's last remaining technologies. Her eyes were fixed on a holographic map of the galaxy. Earth was marked in a dull red, isolated and forgotten by the rest of the galaxy. The aliens had controlled Earth for years now, yet the map also displayed the network of Earth's hidden cells, groups of survivors spread across the planet, quietly rebuilding what had been destroyed. "We've got a problem," a voice interrupted her thoughts. It was Sergeant Logan, one of her closest allies in the Resistance. He was standing by the console, his face lined with the stress of their ongoing fight. "Another alien strike team?" Amelia asked, her tone cold. The Resistance had been receiving reports of alien patrols increasing across Earth's surface. The aliens had become comfortable, overconfident in their victory. Logan shook his head. "No, something else. We've detected strange energy readings near the equator. It's something big, Captain." Amelia's heart skipped. She stood up from her chair, her boots clicking on the metal floor as she moved toward the display. A series of complex symbols and data streams flashed on the screen. It was the last thing she expected to see. The energy readings were coming from the exact location of Earth's most secure underground facility, the facility that had been abandoned after the fall of humanity's main military forces, a place where humanity's last hope had been kept hidden. "Is it operational?" Amelia asked quietly, more to herself than anyone else in the room. Logan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "It looks like it, Captain. It's running on low power, but it's active." Amelia's eyes narrowed. The aliens had long assumed that Earth had no weapons left. They had destroyed most of the Resistance forces, wiped out the planet's military presence, and believed humanity was completely defeated. But the truth was that humanity had one last weapon, one final resource hidden beneath their feet, a weapon so powerful that it could turn the tide of the war. But it wasn't just the weapon that worried her. It was the fact that the aliens had never noticed its existence. The human Resistance had spent years hiding it, keeping it a secret. Now, if the alien forces found it, they could crush Earth's last hope in an instant. "We need to move now," Amelia said, her voice hard with determination. "Logan, get the Prometheus ready for launch. We'll need every ship we have to protect that facility. If the aliens find it, they'll wipe us out before we even have a chance." Logan quickly nodded and rushed out of the room, leaving Amelia alone with the holographic map. The stars seemed to flicker, distant and cold, as if mocking her. It had been a long time since humanity had any hope. And now, just when the aliens thought they were safe, something far greater than they could have imagined was waking up beneath the surface of Earth. The day the aliens declared victory was the day they made their biggest mistake. They had underestimated the resourcefulness of humanity. When they had marched into Earth's cities, destroying them, they thought they had wiped out any chance of resistance. What they didn't realize was that humanity, in its final days of despair, had begun working on something that would change everything. Earth wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. The Prometheus broke through the atmosphere as it left Earth's orbit, the engines humming with quiet power. Amelia stood at the helm, watching the stars stretch out before them. The ship was a relic, a last gasp of a military long gone, but it was humanity's most advanced technology, and it was their only chance to stop the aliens from discovering what lay below. "Captain, we're entering the area." Logan's voice crackled through the comms. "We've picked up several alien scout ships nearby. They're not in full formation, but they'll be here soon." Amelia's grip tightened on the controls. This was it. The resistance was small, outnumbered, and spread thin, but they had something the aliens didn't: determination and the will to survive. And they were about to show the galaxy that humanity was far from defeated. "Prepare for a full assault," Amelia ordered, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "We're not letting them take this facility. This is the turning point. If we lose this, we lose everything." Her crew sprang into action, the once silent ship now buzzing with energy. They had no time to waste. They had to act fast, before the aliens realized what was happening. As the Prometheus flew deeper into the atmosphere, Amelia looked out toward the distant mountains. Beneath them lay the last hope of humanity. It was a weapon, yes, but it was also something more. It was a message to the galaxy. Earth was not finished. The aliens, meanwhile, continued to believe that the war was over. They had seen Earth's major cities destroyed, and they had crushed all visible resistance. They thought their victory was complete, but they had made the same mistake so many others had before them. They underestimated humanity. As the alien ships flew toward the hidden facility, they could not know that their greatest enemy was not their armies, nor their weapons. It was the human spirit, and that spirit was about to strike back harder than they could have ever imagined. The cold air inside the underground facility was still, almost suffocating. The walls, once pristine and full of life, were now covered in dust and rust. The sounds of machinery had long ceased, leaving only silence behind. Yet hidden deep within this forsaken place, humanity's last hope remained. For years, no one had dared to touch it, to activate it. But now, the time had come. Captain Amelia Hart stood at the entrance of the old facility, her eyes scanning the darkened hallways. The Prometheus had brought her here, along with the last of Earth's surviving soldiers and scientists. The alien scouts, who had been circling the area, had no idea what lay beneath them. They were still convinced that Earth had nothing left to fight with. The team made their way down into the heart of the facility, their footsteps echoing in the abandoned corridors. The facility had been constructed long before the alien invasion, a place where humanity's most secret and dangerous weapons were created. It was a weapon that had never been used, never even been fully tested, until now. The humans had kept it hidden, knowing that one day they might need it, but they had never imagined that it would be the key to Earth's survival. "This is it," Amelia said quietly, her voice reverberating off the walls. "We've been preparing for this moment for years. It's time to wake it up." The lead scientist, Dr. Victor Allen, stepped forward. His face was pale with a mixture of fear and excitement. "Captain, you do realize what we're dealing with, right? This is no ordinary weapon. It's a force unlike anything we've ever created." Amelia nodded. She had read the reports, heard the rumors. The weapon was based on ancient human technology, something that had been lost for centuries. It was a weapon capable of harnessing the power of the Earth itself, a power that could destroy entire fleets, rip through starships, and level cities in an instant. But that was not the worst part. "The weapon's energy core is unstable," Dr. Allen continued, his voice trembling slightly. "We've spent years trying to stabilize it, but we've never fully tested it. If it goes off too soon, or if we can't control it—" "I know the risks, Doctor," Amelia interrupted, her gaze steady. "But we don't have a choice. The aliens are coming. We either use this weapon, or we die." The team moved deeper into the facility, their movements becoming more urgent as the alien scouts approached. The countdown had already begun. In the distance, Amelia could see the faint flicker of lights from the Prometheus as it waited for their signal. They had to be ready to launch the weapon at a moment's notice, before the alien forces realized what was happening. Dr. Allen led the way to the central chamber, where the weapon was kept. The room was massive, its walls lined with ancient computers and strange devices. In the center, suspended by powerful magnetic fields, was a massive spherical structure. It glowed faintly, its surface shifting and pulsing as if alive. "This is it," Dr. Allen said softly, his voice filled with awe. "The heart of the weapon." Amelia stood frozen for a moment, staring at the glowing orb. It was a relic from humanity's past, an ancient creation that had been buried in secret for centuries. No one knew exactly how it worked, but the record said it could manipulate the very core of a planet, using its energy to fuel destructive forces beyond imagination. "Activate it," Amelia ordered, her voice firm. The team sprang into action, inputting data into the machines that surrounded the weapon. Sparks flew as the power systems began to hum, the room vibrating as the energy core powered up. Slowly, the spherical object began to glow brighter, its pulses becoming more rhythmic. The air in the room felt charged, as if the very atmosphere was alive with energy. "It's working," Dr. Allen whispered. "The weapon is online." For a brief moment, there was a sense of triumph, but Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. They had activated the weapon, but there was no going back now. If they unleashed its full power, there was no telling what the consequences would be, not just for the aliens, but for Earth as well. "Captain," Logan's voice crackled over the comms. "The alien scouts are getting closer. We don't have much time." Amelia's eyes snapped back to the weapon. The countdown had begun. There was no turning back now. "Prepare to fire," she ordered, her voice steady despite the storm brewing in her chest. Dr. Allen hesitated. "Captain, we have no idea how this will affect the planet. We might be destroying everything." "We have no choice," Amelia said firmly. "If we don't act now, the aliens will wipe us out. This is the only way." With that, the final switch was thrown, and the room erupted in a burst of energy. The ground trembled beneath them as the weapon's power surged through the facility. Amelia's heart raced as she watched the glowing orb send out pulses of energy, each one stronger than the last. The walls of the facility shook as the Earth itself seemed to respond to the weapon's call. Outside, the alien scouts had arrived, unaware of the danger that lay below them. They were just a few miles away, preparing to land and continue their patrol. But before they could react, the weapon's energy shot into the sky, blasting out of the facility like a shockwave. It ripped through the atmosphere, racing toward the alien fleet. For a moment, there was complete silence, and then the sky above the Earth erupted into flames. The weapon had been unleashed. The alien ships, caught completely off guard, were thrown into chaos. The energy blast tore through their shields, disabling their engines and sending them spiraling into the atmosphere. The aliens had no time to react before they were obliterated, their once mighty fleet reduced to nothing more than burning wreckage. Amelia stood in the control room, her heart pounding. The weapon had worked, but at what cost? The ground beneath her feet continued to tremble, the weapon's aftershock still shaking the Earth. She knew this was only the beginning. The alien fleet had been hit hard, but they would return. And next time, they would be ready for humanity. As the dust settled, Amelia looked out at the stars, her resolve hardening. Earth had struck back, but now the real battle was just beginning. The stars twinkled softly outside the windows of the Prometheus, a stark contrast to the chaos that had erupted just hours earlier. The weapon's blast had taken the alien fleet by surprise, but that moment of triumph was fleeting. Amelia Hart stood at the helm of the warship, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon of space. The victory was far from complete. She knew the aliens would not let this humiliation slide. They would come back, stronger and angrier than before. Captain Hart's thoughts were interrupted by the crackling of the comms system. It was Logan, the ship's communications officer, his voice tense. "Captain, we're picking up strange signals from deep space. They're different from the usual alien chatter. It's like they're organizing, preparing for something." Amelia turned toward the console, her brow furrowing. "Can you isolate the source?" "Already on it. The signals are coming from multiple points across the galaxy, but they're converging on one system, ours." A chill ran down Amelia's spine. The aliens had always been unpredictable, but this was something new. They were no longer just scattered fleets. This was an organized response, a counterattack. They weren't just coming to reclaim their lost ships. They were coming for Earth. "Keep monitoring," Amelia ordered. "We need to know everything about their movements. If they're gathering forces, we need to be ready." Her eyes shifted to the tactical map displayed on the main screen. The alien fleet that had been decimated by the weapon's blast was still in disarray. Drifting through space, their once immense power now reduced to broken fragments. But in the silence of space, they were regrouping. Amelia knew that the aliens wouldn't sit idle for long. Their pride had been wounded, and their desire for revenge would fuel their actions. "What are our options?" Dr. Victor Allen asked, stepping up beside her. His face was tense, the worry lines deepened by the weight of the moment. "We have to prepare for a full-scale invasion," Amelia replied, her voice firm. "We've already seen their power. Now we have to show them that humanity isn't going down without a fight." The ship's engineers, along with the remaining scientists, had been working tirelessly since the weapon was unleashed, trying to harness its power and learn how to control it. It was a force unlike anything humanity had ever seen before, a weapon that could manipulate the very energy of the Earth itself. But its instability made it a dangerous ally. One wrong move, and it could tear the planet apart. Amelia turned to Dr. Allen, who was busy analyzing the data coming through. "Have you found any way to stabilize the weapon, or is it too risky to use again?" "We've been working on it," Dr. Allen said, his voice strained. "But it's not like flipping a switch. The energy we tapped into was unlike anything we've encountered. If we use it again without stabilizing it, the results could be catastrophic, not just for the aliens, but for us as well." Amelia sighed, rubbing her temples. "Then we need another option. We need to find a way to strike back without risking everything we have." The tension aboard the Prometheus was palpable. The crew knew the gravity of the situation. Earth had fired the first shot, but they hadn't won the war. Not yet. The fight was far from over, and the aliens were now regrouping, preparing their revenge. At that moment, the lights aboard the ship flickered, and the loud hum of the engine suddenly intensified. The alert signals blared from every corner of the warship. The ship's sensors were picking up something huge moving toward Earth, something the size of a fleet. "Captain, the alien reinforcements are on the move. They're heading straight for us. I count at least a dozen ships, and they're all heavily armed," Logan reported, his voice tense. Amelia's heart skipped a beat. The countdown to humanity's survival had just begun. The aliens weren't wasting any time. The initial shockwave had done its damage. But now they were coming back in full force, determined to finish what they had started. "Get us out of here, full speed ahead," Amelia ordered. "We need to buy ourselves some time to think." The Prometheus powered up its engines, pushing forward as fast as it could manage. The ship was designed for speed, built to outrun anything that might be lurking in the depths of space. But Amelia knew that it wasn't going to be enough. The aliens were coming, and they would have to face them head-on. Within moments, the tactical screen flickered to life, showing the first wave of the alien fleet closing in. They were larger, more advanced, and equipped with weapons designed to destroy. But Amelia's resolve was unwavering. This time, they wouldn't just defend. They would strike back, and they would fight until the very end. "Arm all weapons," Amelia commanded. "This is our moment. We can't afford to hesitate." Logan's fingers flew over the console, locking on to the alien ships, readying the ship's weapons. Weapons online, Captain. We're ready when you are. The crew gathered around, each of them knowing what was at stake. There was no room for fear now, only determination. The battle ahead would be fierce, but it was the only way to ensure that Earth would survive. Amelia stood tall, her mind racing with plans and strategies. "They think we're finished," she said, her voice low and steady. "But they have no idea what we've got in store for them." The Prometheus cut through space like a blade, hurtling toward the incoming alien fleet. The tension in the air was thick, and every second felt like an eternity. This was the moment they had prepared for. The moment humanity would show the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. As the alien fleet loomed closer, Amelia's mind sharpened. They had one shot. They could either face extinction, or they could fight with everything they had. There would be no retreat, only victory or defeat. The countdown had begun. The darkness of space seemed to stretch forever as the Prometheus sailed silently toward the oncoming alien fleet. In the quiet hum of the ship, the crew prepared for what would come next. Each person was stationed at their post, their focus intense. They had faced danger before, but nothing like this. Nothing like what they were about to face. Amelia Hart stood at the helm, her gaze fixed on the tactical display. The enemy fleet was closer now, and their massive warships filled the screen. The Prometheus was no match for their numbers, but Amelia knew that the humans had something the aliens didn't: heart, determination, and the element of surprise. "Captain," Dr. Allen said, his voice cutting through the silence, "we've got a possible weakness in their formation. It's a long shot, but if we can target their energy cores, we might be able to take out several of their ships with one shot." Amelia didn't respond immediately. She stared at the enemy fleet, her mind racing. The aliens had the power to wipe them out, but they hadn't anticipated Earth's fight. They had underestimated humanity, just as they always did. "If we're going to do this, we have to move fast," Amelia said at last. "Logan, plot a course toward their flagship. If we can hit their leader, the rest of the fleet might fall apart. No hesitation. Do it now." Logan's fingers moved quickly across the console. Course plotted. Preparing to engage the flagship. Shields are holding steady. The crew was quiet. The calm before the storm was always the hardest part. Every person aboard the Prometheus knew that this would be their hardest battle yet. They had no idea how it would turn out, but they couldn't back down. Earth was counting on them. "All stations, prepare for battle," Amelia ordered, her voice firm. "This is it. Our one shot. We make it count, or we don't make it at all." The ship's crew responded in unison. Everyone knew their roles, and they trusted each other to carry them out. It wasn't just the ship's technology that would win this fight. It was the people aboard it. The people who refused to surrender, who had fought for their lives, their homes, and their families. Amelia's eyes scanned the tactical display, watching as the alien fleet grew larger. The flagship was at the center, its weapons bristling with power. The rest of the fleet surrounded it like a protective shield, and it was clear that the aliens were ready to strike. "Steady," Amelia murmured under her breath. "Just steady." The distance between the Prometheus and the alien fleet closed rapidly. Every second felt like an eternity. Then, a voice broke through the tension. "Captain, they're firing. They know we're here." Logan shouted. The first round of alien fire lashed out, bright beams of energy streaking across space. The ship's shields flared as they absorbed the impact, but Amelia felt the shockwave vibrate through the hull. The Prometheus rocked violently, but it held its course. "Shields are holding, Captain. But they're getting more aggressive," Logan reported, his voice tinged with urgency. "Return fire," Amelia ordered immediately, her eyes locked on the flagship. "Target their weapons systems. If we take out their guns, we might have a chance." The Prometheus's weapons came online, releasing a barrage of missiles and laser beams toward the alien ships. The missiles streaked across the blackness of space, finding their marks on the alien warships. Explosions erupted as enemy ships were torn apart, but there were too many of them. For every alien ship they destroyed, 2 more took its place. "Captain," Dr. Allen shouted from behind. "Their weapons are focused on us. We can't keep this up for much longer." Amelia clenched her fists. They had to act now, before the aliens overwhelmed them. She turned to Logan, her eyes fierce. "Logan, are we in position to fire at the flagship's core?" she demanded. Logan's hands flew over the console, adjusting their trajectory. "We're almost there, Captain. Just a few more seconds." The seconds stretched on, feeling like hours. The alien ships continued to fire, their beams hammering the Prometheus's shields, but the warship pressed on. The tension in the air was palpable. Every moment, every breath, could be their last. "We're in position," Logan said at last, his voice strained but determined. "Firing now." A brilliant beam of energy shot from the Prometheus's main cannon, slicing through space like a knife through silk. The beam hit the alien flagship directly, striking its energy core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deafening explosion, the flagship erupted in a fiery ball of energy. The shockwave hit the Prometheus with enough force to send the ship spinning. Amelia gripped the console, bracing herself for the impact. The warship rocked violently, alarms blaring all around them, but the crew held steady. "Captain, we've done it," Logan shouted. "The flagship's down. The rest of the fleet is disoriented." Amelia's heart raced. The explosion had created a ripple effect throughout the alien fleet, causing chaos and confusion. Their lines were broken, their coordination disrupted. But the battle was far from over. The alien fleet was regrouping. But now, the humans had the upper hand. "Continue the assault," Amelia commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We've given them a taste of what Earth can do. Let's finish this." The Prometheus surged forward, ready to strike again. The explosion of the alien flagship had sent shockwaves through the enemy fleet, but it also had a powerful effect on the Prometheus. The ship trembled from the blast, but it quickly regained stability as its crew tightened their grips on their stations. It was clear that the battle had taken a turn, but the real test had just begun. Amelia Hart stood at the front of the command center, her eyes locked on the tactical map. The remaining alien ships were disoriented, their once organized assault now turning into a chaotic scramble. Some were retreating, while others were desperately trying to regain control, but the damage had been done. The Prometheus had created an opening. The fight for Earth's survival was far from over, but it was now a battle that could be won. "Captain, we're seeing massive communication disruptions among the alien fleet," Logan reported from his station. "Their coordination is breaking down. We've got a window of opportunity." Amelia didn't need to be told twice. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the moment to push forward, to strike when the enemy was at its weakest. "All units, prepare for a full assault," she ordered, her voice firm. "We take them down now, before they have a chance to regroup." The crew sprang into action, the tension thick in the air as they scrambled to execute their orders. The Prometheus powered forward, its weapon systems coming to life again. Lasers and missiles fired in rapid succession, cutting through the disoriented alien fleet. The bright flashes of explosions lit up the vastness of space as human firepower began to take its toll. But despite the chaos among the alien ranks, they weren't going down without a fight. Amelia could see it on the tactical display. Several ships were regrouping, their shields flashing as they prepared to retaliate. But now, the humans had the upper hand. They had broken through the aliens' initial onslaught, and now they could push forward. "Captain, their shields are weakening. We have a clear shot at their remaining warships," Logan said, his voice full of urgency. "Fire everything we've got," Amelia commanded, her gaze steely. "No mercy. Finish this." The Prometheus unleashed its full arsenal, missiles and energy beams streaking through space. The alien ships tried to fight back, but their systems were still scrambling to stabilize. The humans weren't giving them a chance to recover. One by one, the alien ships began to fall. Their once pristine vessels were now nothing more than debris floating in the vacuum of space. Some ships exploded into fiery clouds, while others simply drifted, their engines fried and useless. The tide had truly turned. "Captain, it's working. We're decimating their forces." Logan shouted, his voice filled with disbelief and excitement. "We're almost there. A few more hits, and their fleet will be wiped out." But just as victory seemed within their grasp, a new threat emerged. From the far side of the battlefield, a massive vessel appeared. A ship so large that it dwarfed everything else in the fleet. It was the flagship of the alien commander, the one who had sent the invasion force in the first place, and it wasn't alone. Behind it, a dozen smaller ships emerged, all heavily armed and bristling with weapons. The sight was enough to send a shiver down Amelia's spine. This was no ordinary counterattack. The alien forces were pulling out all the stops, sending their most powerful warship into the fray. "Captain, it's the command ship." Dr. Allen's voice cut through the tension. "It's a full-scale retaliation. They're coming at us with everything they have." Amelia didn't hesitate. This was the fight they had prepared for. The last stand. The one final push to win this war and prove to the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. "All hands, brace for impact," she ordered, her voice steady. "We're taking down their command ship. This ends now." The Prometheus angled toward the alien flagship, its weapons recharging for another strike. The alien vessel fired first, a deadly barrage of energy beams that slammed into the Prometheus's shields, shaking the ship with the force of each impact. But the crew held firm, their determination unwavering. "Shields holding at 50%, Captain," Logan reported. "But we need to move fast. If we stay in their firing range much longer, we'll be destroyed." "Keep the course steady," Amelia said, her mind working in overdrive. "We can't let them get away. We have one chance at this." The Prometheus moved closer to the alien flagship, dodging fire as best it could. The larger alien ship began to fire more heavily, each blast more powerful than the last. The Prometheus shuddered, but Amelia refused to back down. "Captain, we've locked on to their weak points," Logan reported. "If we hit their energy core, we'll take them down in one shot." "Do it," Amelia commanded. The Prometheus lined up its shot, the weapon systems aiming directly for the alien flagship's core. The tension in the control room was palpable as the countdown began. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The main cannon fired. The beam of energy shot out faster than a blink, traveling through space like a bullet and slamming into the alien flagship's heart. For a moment, there was nothing. Silence. Then, the alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash, the shockwave rippling outward as it was torn apart. The Prometheus rocked from the blast, but the crew held steady. The alien fleet had been broken. The war had taken a turn. Humanity had struck back. For a moment, there was nothing but the silence of space. But then, Logan's voice broke through the quiet. "It's over, Captain. The alien fleet is finished." Amelia stood tall, her heart pounding in her chest. The battle wasn't won by just weapons and strategy. It was won by the will to fight, to protect what was theirs, to protect Earth. The humans had shown the galaxy what they were capable of, and the universe would never forget. The silence that followed the destruction of the alien flagship was deafening. For a moment, it felt as though the entire galaxy had held its breath. The vast emptiness of space stretched around the Prometheus and the remains of the shattered alien fleet, leaving behind only the floating debris of warships and the echoes of what had just transpired. The humans had won. Against all odds, they had struck back, and the invaders who had once believed they could crush Earth were now retreating, broken and in disarray. Amelia Hart stood before the massive viewport, her eyes fixed on the wreckage of the alien ships. Her breath came in slow, steady inhales, but her heart still raced with adrenaline. The battle was over, but the war had taken its toll. Her hands clenched, and she couldn't help but feel the weight of the lives lost, the sacrifices made. "Captain," Logan's voice broke through her thoughts. "The alien fleet is retreating. They're withdrawing from our space. The remaining ships are trying to jump out of this system." Amelia turned slowly, her gaze meeting Logan's. Are they retreating in disarray, or are they regrouping for another strike? Logan hesitated, his fingers tapping rapidly across the controls. "I'm seeing a lot of damage on their side, Captain. Many ships are trying to make a jump, but their engines are damaged. They're not going to be able to regroup quickly." The reality of their victory was settling in, but it didn't make the aftermath any easier. Despite the damage the Prometheus had sustained, despite the countless hours of struggle and sacrifice, they had succeeded. But the question that lingered in the air was, what would come next? "Captain," Dr. Allen called from his station, his voice filled with concern. "We're getting a transmission. It's from the alien leadership, or at least, what's left of it." Amelia's stomach tightened. She knew this moment was coming. The aliens had been defeated, but the war was never truly over. There would always be another battle, another threat. "Put it through," she said, her voice steady but laced with wariness. The holographic screen in front of her flickered to life, and the face of an alien commander appeared. His skin was a dull gray, his eyes large and unblinking, his expression cold and calculating. Despite the destruction around them, he held an air of authority, as though he expected the humans to bow before him. "We are defeated," the alien commander began, his voice like gravel. "You have destroyed our fleet, but you have not won. The Empire will return. You may have sent us retreating, but you are not safe. The war is far from over." Amelia stood tall, her expression unwavering. "You may have been strong once, but Earth has proven that we are not to be underestimated. You thought the fight was finished, but we're still here, and we've only just begun. You've awakened something in us that you can't stop." The alien's eyes flickered with an emotion Amelia couldn't quite decipher. Was it fear? Respect? It was hard to say, but whatever it was clear that the alien commander understood the message. Earth had struck back, and the galaxy would never forget it. "You have won this day," the alien commander said, his voice taking on a tone of begrudging acceptance. "But we will return, Captain. You will not be so lucky next time. Your victory is nothing more than a temporary setback." Amelia's eyes narrowed. "We'll be ready. Earth will always stand strong. The fight is over for now, but the war is far from decided." The alien commander's image flickered, and the transmission ended abruptly. The crew stood in stunned silence, the weight of what they had just heard sinking in. "They'll come back," Logan said quietly, his voice filled with the same realization that was beginning to settle over the crew. "They're not done." Amelia nodded, her expression grim. "No, they're not. But neither are we. We've proven that humanity will fight. We'll never stop fighting, not until the very end." The room was filled with the quiet hum of the ship as the crew began to process the gravity of the situation. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The aliens would regroup, rebuild, and plan their next attack, and humanity would be ready. The fight for Earth's survival was far from finished. Hours later, the Prometheus was still in the process of repairing its damage. The crew worked tirelessly, making adjustments, rerouting power, and ensuring that the warship was ready for whatever came next. Yet even as the repairs continued, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was still ahead. The victory was hard won, but the future was uncertain. In the silence of the command center, Amelia walked over to the tactical map. The alien fleet was scattered, broken, but they weren't gone. Earth had made a statement, but the universe had taken notice. The question wasn't if the aliens would return, it was when. "Captain, I think we've got a message from Earth," Dr. Allen said, drawing Amelia's attention. It's a military transmission, coming in from the United Earth government. Amelia turned toward the screen, the corners of her mouth pulling into a faint smile. Earth wasn't done either. The message appeared on the screen, and it was clear. Humanity was unbroken, and the fight would continue. Amelia, the message began, spoken by a familiar face. Congratulations on your victory, but we have just received intelligence. This was only a fraction of their forces. We've begun mobilizing for the next stage. Prepare for reinforcements. The war isn't over. Not by a long shot. Amelia exhaled deeply. Earth was gearing up for the next phase. Humanity had proven that they could strike back, but now they had to prepare for the challenges ahead. The road was long, but they had already shown that they were capable of doing the impossible. "We'll be ready," Amelia whispered to herself. "The fight isn't finished. Not yet." And as the Prometheus sailed deeper into the unknown reaches of space, Amelia knew that no matter what the aliens threw at them next, Earth would stand firm. They had struck back, and they would do it again, with everything they had. The stars outside the Prometheus were calm, like the quiet before a storm. Despite the victory, despite the retreat of the alien forces, Amelia's heart couldn't shake the unease that settled in her chest. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. The messages from Earth had been clear. Humanity would continue the fight, no matter the cost. They had proven their resilience once again, but there was no guarantee of what lay ahead. The galaxy, once silent and distant, was now forever marked by Earth's defiance. The Prometheus continued its patrol across the edge of human space, scanning the quiet expanse for any signs of danger. The crew worked tirelessly, staying vigilant, repairing and strengthening the warship, preparing for what was to come. In the wake of their victory, they knew one thing for sure. They couldn't afford to be complacent. The alien empire would return, and humanity needed to be ready for whatever they brought next. Captain Amelia Hart stood at the observation deck, looking out into the vast emptiness of space. Her fingers rested against the cool glass of the viewport, as if trying to touch the stars themselves. Behind her, Logan and Dr. Allen worked at their stations, keeping an eye on their systems, but it was clear that their minds were preoccupied with the future. "We've done it," Logan said quietly, his voice filled with a mix of disbelief and triumph. "We've actually done it." Amelia turned to him, her face hard, her expression unreadable. "Yes, we've won this round. But don't forget, this is just the beginning. The aliens will come back. They'll regroup, rebuild, and when they do, we need to be ready." Logan didn't argue. He knew the truth of her words. The victory they'd achieved had been hard-won, but it was only temporary. The fight wasn't over. And the galaxy had just learned the truth. Earth was not to be underestimated. "It's hard to believe it, though," Dr. Allen chimed in from his console. "We've just taken down their flagship. After everything they've thrown at us, to think that Earth, humanity, was able to push them back. It's incredible." Amelia's gaze never left the stars. "It's not about what we've done. It's about what we will do next. We're not just defending our planet anymore. We're defending everything humanity stands for, our freedom, our future." The crew stood in silence, each person processing the weight of her words. The Prometheus had been the tip of humanity's spear, but it was only one ship. The alien empire, though broken for now, still held vast power. And if Earth was to survive, they would need more than just bravery and determination. They needed unity. They needed a strategy. "Captain, we've received another transmission from Earth," Dr. Allen said, his voice urgent. "It's from the United Earth government." Amelia nodded. She had expected this. Earth had been preparing for this moment since the battle began, knowing the true test was yet to come. She stepped toward the communications console, and the image of General Marcus appeared before her on the screen. His face was stern, his eyes filled with purpose. "Captain Hart," General Marcus began, "congratulations on your victory. You've given Earth a chance to breathe, but this is only the first step. The alien forces are retreating, but we've learned from our intelligence that they are far from finished. We've already begun mobilizing for the next phase of this war. We need you and the Prometheus to continue your patrols. We need eyes on the farthest reaches of our space. Stay alert. There will be no more surprises. Amelia nodded, taking in the gravity of his words. Understood, General. We'll keep our vigilance. Earth's forces are stronger than ever, and we'll be ready for whatever comes next. General Marcus's expression softened slightly. Good. The future of humanity depends on it. We've come a long way, Captain. But this war, it's far from over. Stay strong. The transmission ended, leaving a silence in the command center. Amelia stood still, her gaze fixed on the stars once more. She knew the truth. They had only just begun to fight. We've proven we're capable of more than they thought, Logan said, breaking the silence. But they won't stop. They'll try again. Yes, Amelia said, her voice steady but fierce. And when they do, we'll be ready. As the Prometheus continued its watch, Earth's forces began to rebuild. New ships were being constructed, new strategies formed, and humanity's resolve was harder than ever. The galaxy, once full of uncertainty, now knew one thing for sure: humanity would not be silenced. They would never surrender. Amelia turned to her crew, a sense of purpose filling the room. Prepare for the future, everyone. The aliens may have underestimated us once, but they won't make that mistake again. Our work has just begun. The crew nodded, their faces reflecting the same determination. They had stood against the invaders, and they had won. But the true test was still ahead. They had proven that Earth could strike back. Now, they would show the galaxy that humanity would never stop fighting. With their resolve stronger than ever, the Prometheus sailed toward the unknown, its crew ready for the battles yet to come. The war was far from finished, but humanity had proven one irrefutable truth: they would never back down.